Hi, I'm Matthew Craig and you're watching The Market Bull. Joining me online today is the Managing Director of the recently listed Boresight, Justin Olde. Thanks for your time today, Justin.
Yeah, no worries, Matt. Good to be here.
So just firstly, could you give us an overview of Boresight's flagship technology?
Yeah, certainly. Boresight was conceived to make low-cost drones to support the counter-drone industry. So we're all familiar with companies like EOS, Electro-Optic Systems, and Drone Shield. Those guys have really made a name for themselves in the counter-drone space, so they're very good at taking drones down. The challenge that they have is getting cost-effective targets to practice on. That's the market that we cater to. And then as that evolves, as their technology starts to be brought into service with various militaries around the world, those militaries need to train and test and use those capabilities. And once again, they need targets for that. So the core of what we're doing, and it's actually a bit unusual in the Western Hemisphere at least, is we have developed a company that is very good at making cost-effective drones at scale. So we make a lot of them, and we can make them relatively low cost. Our other element that makes us a bit different is the control system that we use. So we've developed our own drone control software that allows the drones to perform like very smart drones, swarm, do all sorts of interesting things and emulate a threat without being an expensive drone. And that's very useful to our customers. It's also very simple to use. So we can take someone with 2 days training and they can safely and effectively start flying swarms, which can then be used to support military training or testing activities.
So you guys recently completed a strongly supported IPO. How has the listing gone so far? It's gone well. You're always biting your fingernails, I think, in the lead up to a listing. This is the first time I've experienced one this closely. But certainly in the lead up, there was always a bit of nervousness about how the stocks would perform, what kind of reaction we would get from the market. So pleasantly surprised when we jumped out of the blocks. We listed at 20 cents, but I think at opening we were 32. And we went well into the 70s in the first few days. Things have settled down now a bit. It's sitting in the 40s, which I think is a good valuation at the moment. It was certainly an interesting thing to watch, how it rocketed out of the gates when we first rang the bell. So what are the next steps for Boresight and how does the company grow from here?
Well, we're part of a very rapidly growing market. So a lot of our growth is going to come from our customers getting their head around the whole counter-drone problem and starting to implement counter-drone solutions and then training their forces against it. So if I was to use the Australian military as an example, the Australian military is only just at the front edge of its counter-drone journey. The Land 156 program was initiated last year. They started acquiring product and testing counter-drone solutions. As those solutions get introduced into service, the soldiers, sailors and airmen that are going to be using those systems are going to need to train. So there's going to be initial training to train the people how to operate the system, and then there's going to be ongoing collective training to ensure that people are qualified, that they can use the systems in operational scenarios. And as they get better at bringing drones down and bringing counter-drone equipment into service, our market's going to expand. There is also all the applications for cost-effective drones, and there's many of those. We have a product called the BS350, which was developed as part of the Australian Strategic Capability Accelerator Sovereign UAS program. That is a small, low-cost alternative to the Chinese camera drones that you would see in JB Hi-Fi. As the market for those kinds of systems and the desire for systems made in Australia increases, we're going to see an uptick in the sales of that system as well.
And just lastly, what news flow can investors look forward to over the coming months?
I think mainly big contract announcements. We have a lot of customers already. So all four arms of the US military, the Australian Defence Force, various militaries in Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, are all building up their counter-drone capabilities. And many of those have started with small orders. They may order 20, 50 systems at a time. I think what we can see, or what we will expect to see, is a growth in those numbers. So rather than ordering 50 systems at a time, they'll be ordering a couple of hundred systems at a time. And that will grow into probably regular orders of many thousands of systems a year as those military entities get into a groove of training and testing counter-drone systems. The other thing I think we can see is us starting to expand into adjacent markets as well. So the low-cost camera drone market is going to grow. I think we're going to see an uptick in a requirement for Australian-made drones, particularly in government applications. And then there's you can go wild with your imagination on the applications for a low-cost drone. And we're going to explore all of them.
And thanks for your time today, Justin. And it sounds like there's plenty more to look forward to from Boresight.
Thank you.